Greetings YouTube, it's Vacuum of the Month time, and I have some of the previous Vacuum of the Month vacuums here. I also have Cordless Henry, who was the Vacuum of the Month. And man, was Cordless Henry a pleasure to use. In fact, I think he might be the best vacuum I've had on Vacuum of the Month. I'm going to have to get a plugged-in Henry because I'm so impressed with Cordless Henry in terms of how he was to use and the power he had. And I want to talk about where he lies in the power band of vacuums, and that's why this is out here. Now, before I do so, we're going to have to talk about some other things that have gone on the great interwebs, working that Google machine on the faceballs. So, I want to talk about a certain person. We're going to call her Mrs. S, but there have been a couple others. There's a closed group on Facebook, and as we all know, you can go read a closed group on Facebook if you just copy and paste the URL and you're not signed into Facebook. Very, very simple to do. But anyways, so a closed group on Facebook, and it's amongst vacuum dealers. Now, there's a couple of those groups on Facebook, but particularly let's talk about Vac Talk with the Pros. Because every time somebody shares something to me with Vac Talk with the Pros, or I see something, I'll crop out the username and I'll repost it if it's interesting. Now, with certain companies, that's looked down upon. We can talk about the media relations between vacuum companies, that's a whole other thing. But between dealers, usually we don't get into it. Most dealers are pretty friendly with other dealers. So it's real strange to me that when my YouTube channel is basically focused on vacuum stores and saying, hey, these are great products, you can get them locally, and more than half of my videos start with, go to your authorized dealer, don't try this at home. So I wanted to share a shit post, and I'm going to get demonetized for that, but I don't care. It is shit posting. And I'm going to read this in the context of which I just said. I'm not taking anybody out of context. So, in quotations, just wanted to share this and make you all think about what you're doing. If you're sharing screenshots, what goes on here, well, I'm actually just cropping it directly from the group. Muddying the water. This dude sharing this public. However, I don't think he has many followers. I think our subscriber count is just below 3,000 right now, so that is what that is. And some of my videos do go somewhat viral, at least for me. I'm humbled when I get a video gets 10 or 20 or 40,000 views. And I thank all of my YouTube subscribers for doing that, but that's another story. Whoever has shared this post with this guy is only hurting our business if you're selling Recar. Now, I like a lot of the Recar products. They have some products, as I've said in the past, that are kind of not as good as they used to be, but that is, what it is. And the post that this person is referring to is simply, I was commenting that a gasket needed to be made out of a different material, and we all know about this issue if you've worked in the industry. So it's really surprising that you would put your head in the sand and be like, no, you can't say this, we don't want this out, when this machine's had this issue for over 10 years that we're talking about. And, I've talked about issues with all sorts of vacuums that have gone on, regardless of the brand. I have my favorites, but at the same time, Miele's made a couple bad products. It just happens. Sebo had a power head that they stopped making because it was shit. So, every company has its failures, and you have to learn from them. And grab a big cup of coffee and have a sit there. But to say that you're just going to deny it and try and shut down freedom of speech, where I've had a couple personal messages just in my Instagram box of, hey, take your post down. No, that's not how this works. I'm going to tell it how it is. So as far as hurting dealers, I'm always telling people to go to their local dealers. So I wouldn't say that I'm hurting dealers. If anything, I'm promoting dealers on YouTube. So that's a shit posting that I keep seeing over and over and over again. And if there's something you want me to post, please share it with me. I'm happy to share posts with the audience at any time. Now, I did contact this person personally, which I did not receive a message back, and asked them if they wanted to do a Google Hangouts Live on air and discuss the subject, and they declined. So that's that. That's the drama. And if you've seen Peppy the Frog posted or something like that, where I'm saying it's a clown world because these people are clowning around, that's where that joke comes from. So that's the drama. Thanks for sitting through that. Let's get to the rest of the video. So let's talk about Henry cordless versus these options. Now, Henry cordless is set up very similar to this Miele Red Velvet, as it's a straight suction machine. And a straight suction machine, as I've proved, actually cleans the hair and everything out of the carpet just fine. In fact, Henry cordless comes with a similar nozzle even. The difference between Henry cordless cleaning carpet, cleans bare floor great, and the Red Velvet is the power. So I'm now going to demonstrate the quick difference between it. So the Kirby got 20s. The Miele gets high 40s, and the Henry on high gets about 20 or so, and that's with the bag 2/3 full. So we now know the cordless Henry has similar power to this Kirby, but the Kirby, when it cleans carpet, has a powered brush by a belt, and that cleans the carpet. So what I ended up doing with Henry cordless is running a turbo tool a lot of the time with him, and I think that did great. I'm pleased with the results. Didn't leave the carpet sticky or anything like that in the past. The one thing I did notice is I was having to clean house a little bit longer and a little bit more frequently. I felt like I needed to do it more frequently with Henry cordless. So that was just something I noticed. I think you could, if you had just one or two area rugs and a bare floor in your house, I think Henry cordless would work just fine for you, to be honest. I don't think if you had wall-to-wall carpet, Henry cordless would be the choice for you, but you know, if you just have a couple area rugs, I think Henry cordless and buying a turbo tool would be a real solution. And I feel that same way about, you know, a straight suction Miele or the plug-in Henry cordless. The plug-in non-cordless version of the Henry, the pet version, I was really impressed with at the show. So I think that that's something to note. We're going to measure Henry's working water lift or working vacuum on high and see how well he maintains suction. Wow. So just like the Zero G that I tested last month, Henry seems to have maintained suction. And I've been saying this for years, is that bagged vacuums with the newer bag will maintain suction just fine. I want to show you just how full Henry cordless was when we were doing that. In fact, let's pull Henry cordless out, show you the bag. That bag is about 2/3 full right now in terms of its debris. And I'm not actually sure, because I've never had a Henry before, how full I can fill him. So now that I know that he's maintaining the proper amount of airflow and suction, I'm going to continue using him with this bag in it until he gets full. And this is filters clean. So yeah, that's really kind of refreshing to see that does exactly what it's supposed to do. Now, I do really like these mono wheel switchable floor tools. Now, I'll tell you what, this sure isn't the prettiest room in my house, but I found Henry cordless to be perfect for this room. cordless seems to pick up cat litter quite well, and that is an important thing. Especially when you have two cats like I do. Now, I've also put this rug in here because this Henry does extremely well with the traditional rubber-backed bathroom rug. In fact, you can see Henry has so much suction that he'll actually lift the rug up a little bit, like a full-size vacuum. Now, in my house, though, I have a lot of different types of flooring. I have a lot of mess to clean up with my animals. And while this does it, it's not always the tool for the job. Nothing against Henry. So what I ended up doing is, I would say, I use this tool quite a bit on the end. It does really great on pet hair. I also used this turbo. And I wanted to explain to you folks the difference between this turbo and your traditional turbo. I got excited and I ordered what I thought was going to be a genuine Henry turbo. I was informed by a viewer that it's not, and I really don't care whether it is or not, because this one is, because it's made by Visselwerk. Anyways, this turbo I ordered because it matched my machine and it looked cool. So I wanted to show the difference between the two in terms of whether they stayed spun up or not. Put that on there. Spun up. That didn't do too well. You have to adjust it with Henry cordless. So as you can see with Henry cordless, this spins up, but not very fast. And what that means is if you are doing a lot of animal hair, you need to suck this out occasionally and just clean it out. Not a big deal, but just something to note when using this turbo with Henry cordless, which by the way is not recommended by Henry. So that's an opinion strictly based on my own. The only issue I had occasionally with Henry was as he was coming around the corner, and now he's stuck. And it's because the bag latch sticks out a little bit. And it's nothing you can't stop by giving him a tug, but it is kind of strange that he gets caught on these bag latches right here. And as you can see, they don't really protrude, and they're even ramped with this in mind. And I think because of the rubber bumper that's on the bag latch, it actually is creating friction. Just as you can see, just by doing that on there, it creates a bit of friction. And I think that is the issue. However, when I try to recreate the same problem with furniture, he pulls out quite well. Again, same problem aligning furniture where he bumps in, and he pulls out just fine. So it's really a specific issue among specific corners in my house. In fact, I'm not sure it even would happen in every house. I think it's something specifically to some of the sharper edges in my house. Just something to keep in mind. If you get a cordless Henry, you might have to steer him around a little bit more than something like a Miele. Well, it's time to say farewell to Henry as the vacuum of the month. He sure has been great to use, and you know, I want to talk about some ways that I was using him and kind of how this is going to affect Vacuum of the Month for this month. And I'm going to announce it. If you haven't figured it out, everybody who's followed the channel has figured out, it's going to be the Hide-A-Hose with these two particular tools. Now, full disclosure, at the VDTA, Visselwerk gave me these tools and said, hey, you know what, we want you to test them. So I'm going to do that. Now, I've tested it with the Henry, and I've tested this actually a lot. And if you're not familiar with this turbo tool, this is the same turbo tool Miele's putting on their bagless canisters. But instead of a knob, it's got this slider. And I really liked it with Henry. But I really got it for my hose. And I had originally wanted to buy one of these, and they just gave me one and said, hey, make a video of it. So you'll actually see a few videos on this, because this is really a game changer with this turbo. It works really without a whole lot of power. You could even run this turbo on something like a Kirby. So I'm going to clean it up probably a little bit before that, and I'll make a video on full service of this. So I'm going to also include a link below to this turbo if you're curious about this. Now the other tool that I found myself using with Henry a lot, and I've endorsed this tool a lot before, and that is just this straight suction combination tool with the squeegees. I just love this tool. I really do think this is one of the best bare floor tools on the market, if not the best. So we're going to use both of these with the hose and see what it picks up. So for vacuum of the month, rather than changing the bag like I usually do and start with a fresh bag, because the Centro vacuum bags are so big, I've decided to take a piece of paper that was an accident that came out of my printer, and I'm just going to tuck it down on top of this bag. Now this will allow basically enough airflow to go into the system, but I'll be able to see what lands on top of the paper. And that will give you an idea of what we picked up this month. I think the thing that's going to be the most interesting for vacuum of the month is going to be the power difference between these two. So that's cordless Henry. Let's show my Centrovac. Whoops. Sealed, about 100. Working's hovering right around 50. You're going to have to forgive me. I'm going to pick on this turbo, because this is what we think of when we think of a turbo nozzle. Spins up. And you can really hear the brushes slowing down on this. So even jamming something in there, like a pocket knife, I really couldn't get this to stop spinning. And that's what I like about this turbo brush. So I want to share my turbo brush experiences with you. So this is why this turbo brush, paired with a separate bare floor tool, are going to be the vacuum of the month. So please like, subscribe, definitely comment below. We have a lot to comment below this month. And if you haven't hit that notification bell, definitely consider doing so.